Thankful to be here today. And another Sunday. And I left my watch at home, so we don't know. I got all kinds of time. So it never fails. I had a sermon planned out this morning or already, and I got called into work last night at 11 o'clock. They had a house fire behind Carrie's house that they went to, and I got home at 4:30 this morning. Went back to bed. Didn't set my alarm clock. I woke up at 7:40, and I'm like, all right, I need to go review it, and I didn't like it. I don't know why. It didn't fit. So I turned to something else, and it's funny because I thought about this earlier in the week about talking about faith. And if you don't like faith, how about just believing? Just believe. Just believe what the Lord says. You know, if faith is too strong, you know, it's too I'm talking to everybody that has faith. You know, but if you don't, if you man, just, you know, I'm just at a spot where I can have faith. Well, just believe. Everybody can believe something, right? Everybody believes math, right? There's no sort of kind of answers. They're absolute. You know, I was doing some math with Julia this week, and because I'm like, what's half of 7? And she's like, there is no half. You can't do that. And I said, sure you can. So she thought about it, and she's like, 3.5. I'm like, yes. You know, math. So, okay, I believe that half of 7 is 3.5. There's no way you can prove me wrong. So, if we just believe. So, I opened up my Bible this morning, and it fell on the walls of Jericho. And the children of Israel, they just had to believe in the Lord. Amen. Because we're going to read it, and we all know it. But he gave them some really odd. I mean, if you were going to be normal, you'd be like, well, that was dumb. Why are we doing this? You know. But they did it. So anyway, we'll back up just a second. I'm not going to read it, but if we talk, so Joshua sent out spies into Jericho because they're going to attack. And the spies had to hide because I guess they weren't too stealthy. But they hid with Rahab, who was a known harlot. And another part of this story that is so amazing is that where was her house? It was built on the wall. It was part of the wall. Play later. So anyway, she hides him. She was a harlot, a good person. So they immediately, the king, you know, I think it says the king showed up at his house, at her house. Let's see, where is that at? I don't have to read it. Anyway, he showed up, and he Jericho sent him to her. So he called for her. And she told him that, oh, they went this way. They're heading back, you know, and they stayed at her house. And she knew the Lord. She may not have been a good person, but she knew because she was ancestor of Boaz and David. So she had to have knowledge. She had to know. And she knew that who the Lord was. So she said, I protected you. What are you going to do for me? And they said, we'll save you and her family and all her belongings. Her house is built on the wall, though, but we're going to get into that. So, why'd they build this wall so big? They said in spots it was 25 feet tall and 20 feet wide. That's pretty impressive. So, they were afraid, they thought the Lord was more, let me read it. I know they thought that the Lord was more of nature. There it is. Because, let's see, he parted the Jordan and was a war god because he defeated Sihon and Og. So, they didn't consider him a fortress. So they built this huge wall around Jericho. But everybody was afraid of the Lord because the Israelites had attacked them, I guess, years and years and years ago. So they feared him, so they built this wall around their city. So we'll read chapter 6. So it says here that Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. So it was fortified, it was closed off. And the Lord said unto Joshua, I have given it into thine hand, Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days. So he told him, the city's yours. I've given it to you. The Lord told him. But you're going to have to walk around the city one time a day for 6 days. And he also gave him some other instructions. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. So you're going to go around once for 6 days. On the 7th day, you're going to go around it 7 times. And you're going to blow these trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horns, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, Pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, the priests going on and blowing the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, Ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then shall ye shout. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. So they told him that you're going to do all this, and all the people are going to walk around behind it, the ark, but you're not going to do anything. We're going to just keep quiet. We're going to walk around it. I'm sure this looked really foolish. Probably fooled the people watching it. They had armed guards on top of the walls. You know, they probably couldn't believe what they were seeing. And I'm sure, the people, what would normal people say? Are you kidding me? Are we really doing this? What good is this going to do? This is dumb. It'll never work. That's the thing that happens at our station all the time. One guy would always say it. That's stupid. It'll never work. Anyway, but think about it. This is what they were told to do. But they had faith in the Lord. He had just brought them through the Jordan, crossed the Jordan River, parted it. They had faith. They believed. So he rose up in the morning, and the priests took up the ark, and the 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew the trumpets, and the armed men went before them. But the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing the trumpets. And the 2nd day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did this for 6 days. For 6 days, they get up, they do all this, they play their horns, everybody'd walk around, they go back to camp. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. So here it is, it's the 7th day. They got up early, right at dawn, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they started marching around the city. And it probably took them the day because they had to do it 7 times. They didn't see any crumbles. They didn't see any cracks in the wall. They didn't see any shaking. They didn't feel the earth shaking. They just kept doing it. They just kept walking around. There wasn't any mumbling, complaining. It was just dumb. I've done this 4 times already. My feet hurt. I'm gonna do it some more. They were going by their faith. This is what the Lord told them. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. And the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And ye, in any wise, keep yourselves from the accursed things, lest ye make yourselves accursed. Take of the of Israel a curse, and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and took the city. So he gave him strict orders. On the 7th time, we're going to shout. And when you go in, you're not to take anything. The only thing you can take is the gold and silver and vessels of brass and iron, because that was for the temple, for the Lord. They weren't to take anything, because the Lord didn't want them to have any, I don't want to say remembrance, but any example of what the city was, because it was, I guess it was so evil that he didn't want them to have any type of memento of the city. And they went in, and the Lord destroyed it. Why did he destroy it? Because it wasn't good. It was theirs. It's what's going to happen to the earth here. So, it says here, and they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox, sheep, donkeys, with the edge of the sword. They killed everything. That was the Lord's instructions. He was tired of them, and I'm going to wipe it out. But Joshua had said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman, and all that she hath, as ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in, and brought out Rahab, and her father, and her mother, and her brethren, and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and iron, they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And Joshua adjourned them at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord, that riseth up and buildeth the city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. So Joshua's popularity grew. The story of Joshua grew throughout the entire country. But they destroyed everything. Rahab's house, everything that she owned and her family, was the only thing that got out. And even that was a miracle, because her house, let me see if I can go back and find, let's see here. Anyway, her house was on, I can't find it here right off the bat. I should have wrote it down.
15 of 215.
There, okay. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. The wall was destroyed. It said knocked flat. Nothing left. But yet her house was there. because she did what the Lord wanted her to do. So she had faith in what something told her to do, you know. But I was just impressed with all these people. This wasn't their normal way of attacking a city. Because the Lord wanted them to know that it's me that's doing this for you. They had to have complete faith in what they were doing. Walking around that city. It said here he was given it to his mighty men of valor. Right? Is that what they called them? Yeah, and the mighty men of valor. They had people that could fight. The Lord said, I don't want that. I want you to do it this way. I don't, anything in life, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We sing songs about that. I don't know who holds tomorrow. But we have to just believe in the Lord. And we have it easier than they do. We have a book with all these stories. We have examples before us. All we have to do is just, Lord, just help me to believe. Our guy at work, and I left. I'm not going to be any part of this. But he said something about, now even God deflects bullets. And I'm like, wow. I'm just going to walk away. I'm not saying a word, and I'm going home. Because I was on a callback, and it was over. And, but that's people's thoughts. Yeah, he does. If you think about it, that's like a modern day Rahab. Not a good person. The Lord using him for something? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not getting into all that, but that's just an example, just believe. But people, they just can't do that because they haven't been brought up that way. It's easy. I don't have a lot for today. That's what I have for today, but it just impressed me that these people went out. They didn't say they murmured or complained. And I'm sure, and Joshua wasn't like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna, this is ridiculous, how am I gonna sell this? These people, they're not gonna believe anything I say. How am I gonna, my word is ruined. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. The Lord told him, this is what I want you to do. And he laid it out for him. So Joshua was probably like, let me get a pen and paper. I'm going to write it down word for word. I'm not going to mess this up. Because he knew. And then he went and he gathered in all of his 7 high priests, the guys that were in charge, and he's like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to gather everybody up. I'm going to spell this out. And none of them raised up their hand and said, sir, I ran the analysis on this, and I don't think it's going to work. Not one of them. They believed. They were like, yeah, let's do that. We can do this. And each day, all right, day 1, let's go walk around. Day 2, they didn't complain. Oh man, I better get some sleep. Tomorrow I gotta do it 7 times. This is ridiculous. Hasn't worked. No, they got out there and they did it. And I bet that shout, when he ordered the shout, I bet it was loud. Because they believed. And we are still serving the same God. So everything that we need, everything that you want, we have to believe that the Lord has a plan for us. Somebody said, I don't know if I heard it on the radio or if I saw it on Facebook or something, But it was something to the effect that, faith, I forget how it was worded, but faith might not get you the answers you want, but it gives you what you need to get through to the end to see what God has planned for you. Or something, it was along those lines. And I was like, man, it's really good. We just, Lord, I didn't see it working out this way. It's all right. Just believe Him that it's going to be the best for what you need. Part of my sermon was going to be on prayer. It was, I'll just turn to it real quick because we got plenty of time. I don't even think it's 11 o'clock yet. Let me see here. Why am I don't know where Matthew is? Let's see here. I gotta find it. It was one of the parables. Here we go. So this is what is so amazing. He's talking about prayer. He's given us instructions. And he says here, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into your closet. And when thou hast shut the door, pray to the Father which is in secret, and the Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when you pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. But not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what the things ye have need of before you ask them. That's why we got to believe. And that's part of what I was going to talk about today, because, it's not go out the streets and go in your closet, shut the door, and just tell the Lord what you need. Don't do all these chants and, all this nonsense that you see people doing all the time. Be yourself, because He knows what we need before you ask Him. So that's all we need, just to, man, if the Lord knows what we need before we ask Him, we just have to put our trust in Him, and believe that, all right, I don't understand what this church is for, Lord, but I know you have something. Help me through. Really, is it easy? No, it's not easy. But, man, we just have to, go by what He says. So, anyway, that's pretty much all I had for today. So, I guess we can have our children's testimonies, verses. Amen.
Joshua 14:10. Now as you can see, the Lord has kept me alive, all well as He promised for all these 40 years since Moses made this promise, even when Israel wandered in the wilderness.